I know why you're watching this video. You saw the clickbait cover with the beautiful girl in a bikini in the blue bay, and you stopped to take a look. A lot of would-be liveaboards think that life on a boat is all about breathtaking sunrises, swimming in crystal clear water, and sailing in a hammock, like it's a never-ending vacation. And in fact, most Instagram or YouTube channels focused on boat life only reinforce this belief. Lost in the Storm, Alone in Paradise, and so many other titles. Living on a boat was one of the most significant decisions of my life. When you feel like everything is closing in on you, that's when you need to stop and ask yourself what you want to do with the rest of your life. So in 2017, together with Marina and our 2 children, Valerio and Leilani, we set off from Porto Levant aboard our first boat, the legendary Gentilina, a Beneteau Oceanus 430. After 5 years of exploring between Italy and Greece, 5 years of homeschooling, and with Rune on the way, we decided to return to Italy, where we bought a Gino Sun Odyssey 44. We settled on Elba, living a semi-nomadic life between winters in the harbor and summers at sea. Living on a boat wasn't an easy step, but over time we learned to handle daily challenges, to find creative solutions for making the most of our space, and to enjoy the kind of freedom that only life away from the city can offer. Life on a boat has partly taught us to slow down, to appreciate the things that really matter, and sometimes to find a balance between work and adventure. Spoiler, in this video, I'll share some completely personal opinions based on our experience, as well as some video titles you absolutely need to watch before setting off on your own big adventure. Finally, you'll find the most important piece of advice I feel I can give you. I want to remind you that on our channel there's an entire playlist dedicated to living on a boat, where you can find a ton of information and tips. Of course, I'll leave the link to the playlist in the description. There are truly countless aspects to living on board, and this video could easily last 8 hours. Let's say that, basically, there are 2 main scenarios for living on a boat. The first is, I take the boat and set off to sail around the world, and the second is, I take the boat and live in the marina. Or you can go for a bit of the first and a bit of the second, like we do. Let's start by exploring together the pros and cons of choosing to live on a boat. I'm going to live on a boat, bye. Easy to say, but not so easy to do. Changing your life is often hard, and in many ways, most of the time, it's a choice you feel forced to make. You don't feel like yourself in what you do anymore. You don't like the city anymore. You want more freedom. You want to raise your kids a little wilder. All reasons are valid for changing your life, but the fears that come up are many. And what job will I do? Will I be able to live in 20 square meters? And will my family support me or not? And so many other doubts that will keep tormenting your mind. But if you don't try, you'll never know. And Mark Twain used to say, 20 years from now you will be more disappointed by the things you didn't do than by the ones you did do. So throw off the bowlines, sail away from the safe harbor, and let the wind fill your sails. Explore, dream, discover. Should I add anything else? Yes, don't overthink it. If you overthink it, you'll never do what you dream of, because it will always seem out of reach. You're never really ready to change your life overnight. You're never fully convinced about the step you're about to take. If you also want to break away from a life that doesn't satisfy you, do it now, because you only have one life, and it's short too. Get organized as best you can and go. We bought the boat. We bought the boat. We bought the boat. We bought the boat. One evening, Marina and I looked at each other and decided to change our lives. We didn't really know how, but that was our decision. From that moment on, we did everything we could to get ready for departure, residency, homeschooling for the kids, information about selling the house, buying the boat, and much more. But until today we left everything behind and set off, even we couldn't quite believe what we were doing. But time proved us right, and we're still living on the boat. Watch the video How to Prepare for Life on a Boat. This is one of the top questions everyone asks me and wants advice on. How big does a boat need to be to live on it? There isn't a one-size-fits-all answer, obviously. Are there just 2 of you? Are there 4 of you? Do you have small children? Do you have dogs? Do you have a cat? Choosing the right boat to live aboard is one of the most important and definitely impactful decisions. Not all boats are designed for a long and stable life on board. When choosing your boat, consider factors like interior space, stability, the possibility of installing solar panels, heating, air conditioning, a washing machine, and much more. And also, comfort and ease of maintenance. Sailboats are more suitable if you prefer a more natural and independent experience, while motorboats might offer greater speed and comfort, but they also require much more fuel. This choice will affect every aspect of your life on board, from managing space to maintenance costs, so take all the time you need to select the one that best fits your needs. Don't just look at all the boats for sale at random or, even worse, base your decision solely on the price. First, determine your needs: sail or motor, 3 cabins, 2 bathrooms, 1 or 2 engines, everything you actually need. Start your search from there, otherwise you'll just end up confused. When you find the right boat for you and you're not very experienced with boats, do yourself a favor and choose a trusted surveyor. Take a look at our video, How to Choose a Boat, Parts 1 and 2. The first thing that stands out when looking at a boat is, how can you possibly live in such a small space? The lack of space is a constant problem. The cabins are small and everything has to be arranged so it doesn't get in the way. It's not easy to live with a lot of people or a lot of stuff in a cabin. Living on a boat is, in any case, a constant exercise. As we always say, for everything that comes in, 2 things have to go out. On the other hand, even though the spaces are small, many modern boats are designed to offer surprising comfort. Comfortable cabins, fully equipped kitchens, and advanced technological systems will allow you to live in comfort while still being surrounded by nature or even when docked. Living with fewer things might seem like a paradox in our era, but it allows you to focus on what's essential without wasting too much time on trinkets and useless objects. Before leaving, I thought it would be impossible to sell all the things I was attached to, like my guitars, snowboards, all the books I was actually fond of. But once I sold everything, those things took on their true meaning again. They're just things that weigh down your life and keep you from looking forward, they only make you look back. You'll find that the only thing you really can't do without in winter, especially if you have a big family, is a washing machine. On that note, check out our video, What to Bring on a Boat. Another super popular question, living on a boat, how much does it actually cost? Even though living on a boat might seem cheaper than living in a traditional house, there are costs that aren't always immediately obvious. Routine and unexpected maintenance, insurance, whether liability or comprehensive, which can vary a lot, off-season mooring, water, gas, fuel, equipment, and even fresh food aren't always cheap. Living on a boat will definitely force you to deal with unexpected expenses. I'm thinking about the generator, tools for certain jobs, fishing gear, and a whole lot more. But here too, we need to make 2 distinctions. Are you going to use your boat to sail around the world, or just to cruise along the coast every now and then? As you can imagine, the costs vary a lot, because a boat that's in good shape and equipped with all the systems and new gear comes with a hefty price tag. I'm thinking of people who buy a boat for 100,000 euros and then refit it for another 150,000. In the second case, though, you can get by with less. Fewer systems if you're often docked at the marina, less electronics, less of everything, really. Still, the boat has to be 100% safe. Basically, it depends on what kind of life you're used to on land and how much you can afford. In this case, check out the videos, How much does it cost to live on a boat, and Is living on a boat in Italy worth it? In these videos, I go into detail about our annual expenses for everything related to the boat and our family. Fabio, what do you guys do for a living to be able to afford living on a boat? Or, what should I do for a living once I've moved aboard? There are many possible answers and lots of jobs you can find, but it depends on your skills, especially your adaptability, flexibility, and the specific abilities you've gained in your working life. Before I became a liveaboard, I used to design and build wooden computers, so I'm pretty good with computers and related stuff. The transition to the world of video making, and then to documentaries and formats, came naturally. Maybe you're a top-notch mechanic, and given the shortage of good technicians, you won't have any trouble finding work in the places you decide to visit during your journey. On the dock, it often happens that as soon as they see you doing any kind of work, they call you over to their boat to take a look at this or that. In this case, the video you should watch is work on boats, but keep in mind that with the advent of new technologies, many jobs are more accessible. Just think of Starlink, which allows you to be online 24 hours a day, even in the middle of the ocean. Maybe being able to watch Netflix in the evening takes away a bit of the charm of being isolated in beautiful places, but to each their own. The weather scares a lot of friends who live on boats. Especially now that there's so much talk about climate change, the weather really has changed compared to a few decades ago. Weather conditions can become extreme and unpredictable even without the usual warning signs. Sudden storms with strong winds and rough seas are risks you're always exposed to at anchor, and less so when docked. That's why life on a boat requires good psychological and physical management of these challenges. It doesn't happen often, but when it does, you need to be mentally and physically prepared to handle whatever comes your way. And those 2 boats over there are on the beach, and now they're trying to free that one from the shore as well. 50 knots at anchor is like a bomb whistling in your ears from far away. The water turns to spray, the boat spins like a dervish, and in that moment, you are pure instinct. But once the storm has passed, you ask yourself why on earth you decided to live on a boat. Last year, we were stuck anchored in a sheltered bay in Sardinia near the Straits for 3 days, with the Mistral blowing up to 55 knots. Are you fed up? Pretty much. We've been here for 3 days, just hanging around doing nothing. The water is beautiful, the place is gorgeous, but with all these gusts you can never really relax because you're always worried. So, 3 days feels like forever when you think about how your senses have to stay on high alert that whole time. So, like Forrest Gump said, it happens. What? Shit. Sometimes. But it always passes. The important thing is to try to anticipate and adjust the boat to avoid serious damage. In this case, check out the video Understanding the Weather Without Instruments and also apps for boating. Like I said at the beginning of this video, there are millions of tips I could give you about the boat, provisions, and equipment, but despite everything that could be said, I'm going to give you the one piece of advice that, for me, is the most important and that I follow every day. Plan, but stay flexible. Life on a boat is never as predictable as life in the city. There are all kinds of risks. As I told you, the weather can change suddenly, just like routes and stops on land can change too. Learn to plan, but leave room for the unexpected. Being too rigid can lead to frustration, while a flexible mindset will help you adapt easily, and believe me, a boat demands a huge dose of adaptability. That said, ask me any questions you want in the comments, but only after you've watched the Living on a Boat playlist here on our Hinelson Academy channel. Share this with your friends who dream of living aboard, leave a like, and as always, fair winds, not too much, not too little, just right.